Where are we? Lee. Oh, it's trying to connect you, Lee. There you are.
I'll be back.
You'll be back. Okay, so it's working. You can come back. There you go. And Megaleech, how's it going?
I'll be back.
Okay, Lee's going to come back.
Just pausing, muting the other one.
That's fair. Good man. Oh, I did see a funny quote. I think it's just like on Twitter the other day. It's like from a whatever we call a plant scientist, just going, it's like, no, trees are fucking weird and you should be scared of them because they do the like. I saw the photo. Apparently, famously at one university, to prove a point, some students. It was a fully grown tree. They uprooted this tree and then like planted it upside down, planted the branches into the ground, and over a period of years, the roots up in the air became branches, and the branches took root in the ground, and the tree just adapted.
That's
like
amazing.
that doesn't make any sense. The roots started sprouting leaves, and it's just like,
what did it do for leaves in the meantime?
Yeah, well, I think it didn't happen instantly, but I think within a year or two, it sprouted leaves, and the fucking branches took root in the ground. And
surely
like,
there must have been some leaves protruding, because otherwise photosynthesis wouldn't have been able to take place.
I don't know that, and that's a good question. I don't know that level of detail. That maybe the branches weren't completely submerged, and so there were leaves above the ground or something. But yeah, you can I don't know if it works for all trees, but for this particular tree, you can uproot it and reverse it. Here, CoffeeAndChill's going to join us. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Safa, yeah, I'm good tonight. Yeah.
CoffeeAndChill, it's live. Are you working? No, he's muting. He's got someone there. There you go. We all good? It should be working. I can see you.
Yeah, we can hear you, but you're
yeah,
a little
I can
quiet.
hear you too. You're just saying things quietly. Oh, there's someone there with him, I think. Trying to sort something out there.
You may need to mute YouTube if you haven't already.
Yeah, so plants are super. And you can do that thing, certain trees, you can do the thing where you train it to grow and it can form weird fucking patterns. I think if I just do a...
You see Shelfwarmer's comment? Leaves are photosensitive like a cloud of eyes.
Oh, okay, dude. That was suitably creepy. That was suitably creepy. Yeah. Oh, geez, you get a good Google image result if you put weird. This is the tree I was talking about.
Sure.
I'll try and share this image. Open the image in a new tab. Yeah. Oh, Lee, are you back, Lee? Yes, you look back. Although he's not saying anything, so anyone's guess. I'm going to share this picture. You are back. Look at this tree.
Back. Hello, I think it's working.
Yeah,
yes,
I can hear.
is.
But okay, check this tree out. That lattice pattern, that's human intervention. Humans did that. That was like 4 trees, I think, and they bend the trunks around as it grows, but then they just all merge together and become that weird lattice tree. They don't do that naturally. But it's a particular sort of tree you can do that with. And humans make it, but the tree just goes, sure, I'll just fuse together and be super friggin' weird.
You see pictures of trees growing around bikes and park benches and things like that. So, yeah, but that's not the one they turned upside down.
No, that's not the one they turned upside down. Well, actually, I'll see if I can find the picture. I'll just do a search of upside down tree. Upside down tree. Yep, here's one. Open in new tab. Check it out. I've got to share that screen now. Look, it's an upside down tree. You can see that those were roots that are up there. and it just continued to grow when it was turned upside down.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find the story behind it. Where are we?
Share the link.
Upside down trees. Baobab is called an upside down tree. Yeah, but that's different. Upside down Christmas tree. No, that's not what we're looking. What we see in upside down trees. Okay, is this it? It's a Wikipedia thing. A genus of deciduous tree. Oh no, that's baobabs again. They're weird trees. They're natural and weird trees. Now, I just stumbled across this story on Twitter the other day where some weirdo students uprooted the tree. Apparently,
sounds like something
tree planted
students would do.
upside down is the search term you're after.
Yeah, okay, that might work. Tree planted upside down. Apparently, upside down Christmas tree. What happens if you plant a tree upside down? Can cut off a limb and put it in the ground, turn into a new tree? Yes, it will be a clone. What is the upside down tree? No, not the baobab. Would a tree grow work if it's planted upside down? Can I grow a tree upside down? Upside down trees at the Glacier Gardens in Alaska? I don't know. I can't find the original thing, which is a bit frustrating, but it's a weird thing. Trees are freaking weird. Just saying, trees are weird. Oh, Musical Aviator is saying it was from the University of British Columbia. There you go. They're Canadian. Yeah, weird Canadians. They'll do it. Well, I'm going to pull a few things together. Yeah, he's got his proud Canadian swag. I love it. All right, so I'm going to make
fresh from Canada too.
Nice
version of.
Do you reckon they irradiated that in the post to kill COVID or anything else?
What are we saying about COVID?
No. This was way before COVID.
Oh, way before.
Oh, my shirt that was sent to me by Trudeau.
Right. Yeah, I was just saying about the practice of irradiating mail from different countries. They did it for lots of things, biological stuff. But I wonder if it's more common practice now just with regular mail.
Maybe. I haven't heard, but you could imagine people exploring it.
I'm sure it's expensive, so I don't know.
Yes, probably.
Maybe just ultraviolet or something.
There's probably health things about it. Okay, and my P-Shaw's bitters. Okay, so I'm just going to stir this in the glass, actually, because it's not that complex to drink. And I'll put... Actually,
shelf warmer. What would happen if we stuffed Don Burke upside down into his backyard, which is the real arsehole?
Yes. For those who don't know, within the entertainment industry, Don Burke is known as Australia's Harvey Weinstein. Don Burke is a really gross serial abuser. Yes. And that's why he disappeared from TV. Yeah. It wasn't made public at the time, but basically at the height of his fame, he disappeared from TV. And it's because his behavior had gotten so bad, the executives just went, fuck no, what the hell? And they canned him from TV. And it was only like a year or so ago that there were some major revelations about him made public, you know, in the era of Me Too. But yeah, all the senior executives were just like, oh no, everyone knew. Everyone knew what a horrible fucking shit.
They were okay with it. Oh yeah, no, we're making money. Ugh.
Yeah, and they were, but at a certain, and kind of weirdly to their credit, because no one ever stopped Harvey Weinstein, and he was actually far worse than Don Burke. But at some point, the execs just went, and it wasn't general knowledge, so they weren't pressured to do it. But the execs just went, "Oh God, no! What? Oh fuck, dude, you can't be doing that." To me, saying Don Burke abused.
Don Burke abused me. Yeah, that's a gnome.
Don Burke abused me, but I'm only one of many.
Yeah. Yeah, don't like to think what Don Burke would have done with the garden gnome and its pointy hat. You know, anything.
Sounds like something AngryAussie would enjoy.
Oh no!
Well, it's all pretty interesting.
That sounds like something that Al Stewart would call a silly galah.
Yeah, you got to be careful where you sit down around the garden gnomes. You can get a nasty surprise. Just recently, I don't know, every now and then YouTube randomly throws up one of my own old videos in the videos that it suggests for me.
And I don't think I want to watch that.
I sometimes watch them, and one I did watch recently was when AngryAussie and I were in the sex shop that Eva was working in, and she's showing us all the products. And we're doing this one where I'm trying to have a serious conversation with Eva about this. And AngryAussie would just keep coming up with some really freaky sex toy and just like, I found this.
Sounds like AngryAussie.
I thought he'd be more like, yeah, got this one. Yeah, and that one. Oh, yeah, got one of these.
Yeah, the favorite was they had what I assume was a purely novelty butt plug, but I think some people would have tried because it was like a traffic cone. I'm not joking. It was at its widest point was about this wide and it was about this big, just that traditional butt plug shape, but it was this big. And he's going, "What about that one?" And, "Yeah, buddy, you go take that one off in the corner." And then I was talking to Eva for another minute or so, and then off camera goes, AngryAussie goes, "I need help now. Bring lube now." It's just like, oh dear, we're gonna have to end there. AngryAussie's got himself in a spot of bother.
Oh dear.
But yes, sex shops are funny places. With everything on the internet, I don't know. I suspect the ones that are still in business sell drugs, but
Not worth.
But the other thing is obviously you can't. Well, you can buy toys over the internet, but you can't get them for free over the internet. So I think shops that specialised in quality toys are still in business. But so in fact, Craig, who owned the shop that I used to shoot the videos in, still has the shop, but and we're like Facebook friends, and he just messages occasionally, "If you ever want to do another video, just let me know. Come on in." I was like, "Yeah, I might one day."
Free advertising.
Yeah. All right, so this is my Sazerac, and it's not quite the usual one. I used my, as I said, a Sazerac is kind of like an old-fashioned with a splash of absinthe. This is actually my pre-mixed old-fashioned from the Australian whiskey maker, Starwood. So the bitters in this is Australian wattle seed bitters, which is interesting. Coffee and Chill, your audio wasn't working. Okay, I thought you were doing okay. Oh, well,
it was
dropping in anyway. Yeah. Oh well. But thanks for dropping in. I actually do like being able to place a face with the name, so it's good to see you drop in for a while, even if the audio wasn't going to work. But yeah, look, there was also a Sazerac recipe that said use a little bit of cognac, which not all of them say. So I put a little bit of cognac in this as well. And your classic Creole bitters, Peychaud's, that's the Norlands bitters. It's a different style to Angostura. And a little bit of sweetener, although I think there was a bit of sweetener in the Starwood, but I just put a little bit of agave syrup in as well. And oh yes, I'm down in the bayou now. Down in the bayou. And you're just doing the Tory straight from the bottle.
It's actually mixed with lemonade in the bottle. It was the last little bit.
That's like putting a blue, like if I make a drink with like my blue absinthe, so the drink ends up being blue, going out in public with it like in a Windex spray thing.
Yeah.
And freaking people out just by drinking Windex. Good times, good times.
Oh, Coffee and Chill. I watched your last discussion where there were people talking about software dev. Would have been nice to join in on that.
Yeah, that was Abigail is a quite experienced dev, and in fact, I've got another like Melbourne-based internet friend, and she's just friggin' multi-skilled. Besides being a software dev and an artist, as in a digital artist, she's done character design for video games you've probably played. She also does like tabletop miniatures. She loves painting, the Dungeons and Dragons type miniatures. So she does a bit of everything. She does dev, coding, digital art, physical art, game character design. She's freakishly multi-talented. And I keep saying, yeah, well, you've got to come on a live stream or a podcast or something. Delaney.
Sounds interesting.
Oh, she's so fucking multi-talented, and she's very good on some of the social issues too. She's done a lot of research on a lot of the history of queer rights and whatnot, and she's like I said, you can talk about 20 different things with Delaney and have just absolutely fascinating conversations. And she keeps saying, yes, I will. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, you've got to actually do it, not just say you will. You've got to actually do it.
Send her a message.
Yeah, no, I do on semi-regular. Like, I actually met.
I'm about to go live.
Yeah, no, I met Delaney through Eva, who I used to do the videos with. So Delaney's like a mutual, and she keeps saying she will. I have to get her at some point. Oh yeah, the new rise of COBOL recruit. Yes, it was. What was causing them seeking out the COBOL programmers again? I've gone blank. I know I experienced it with Y2K.
I was going to say.
There was something else just recently, and I don't remember if it's about coronavirus or something, but there was some reason that there was a surge in demand for COBOL programmers again. I can't remember. God, my brain no work good.
Oh, that reminds me of a story I heard from an elderly person saying that in World War II they hired autistic people to decipher messages from enemy troops or enemies over the radio.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard a few stories along that line. Autistic people who are gifted in particular ways can see code, and not just like human encoding. Over cases of people who can actually run computer programs in their head if they see the lines of like machine code, let alone like visual basic programming. They can actually see, once they learn how machine code works, they can just read machine code and tell you how to debug it. And they'll just go, that doesn't make sense. That contradicts this. And the program will go, shit. Oh my God, I left off a parentheses. Shit. And because, the programmer
semicolons.
Yeah, the programmer runs it and it crashes and they're not sure why. And there've been multiple cases of people who can actually run the code in their head and they just go, and they instantly see, I can't keep going because that doesn't make sense. And and they do it visually. It's like and then, in World War II, there were code breakers who would just see patterns where everyone's going, wow, this is just really complex. And they'd go, oh, no, look, there's the pattern. That means that means that means that. And for them, it goes together like a jigsaw puzzle. And they go, no, that's perfectly sensible what they're saying there. And everyone else is going, really? Really? But with all sorts of things happen with code.
Yeah, I see code in my head.
It's And again, some autistic people very gifted with mathematics. They can, any equation, they're just like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. No, I see what you're doing there. Yeah. Okay. And us poor mere mortals look at it and go, what is that now?
Actually, I've got a little bit of a math exercise. Not really a math exercise, but it's a number puzzle. Do you want to give it a try?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the idea is that I've got a rule in mind, and you guys have got to guess the rule.
Okay.
And so I'll give you 3 numbers that follow my rule.
Okay.
You've got to give 3 numbers, and I will tell you whether it follows my rule.
Okay.
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 So numbers are 2, 4, and 8.
Okay. So that'd be like 3, 6, and 12.
That follows my rule.
Yeah. Okay. That's an easy one. I assume you're going to tell me a hard one.
No. It's it's not to get something. You've got to find out what my rule is. Tell me what my rule is.
Oh, it's exponential growth. They double each time.
Yeah.
No, that is not my rule.
Okay.
Right, you get it now? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So anyone can propose 3 numbers, and I'll tell you whether it follows my rule, and you can have a guess at the rule.
Oh.
Did you propose some numbers, Lee?
12, 24, and 48.
That follows my rule. What, do you have a guess at the rule?
Yes.
What do you think?
Times 2.
That is not my rule.
I think it's times 2.
Well, that is a rule. That is a rule that
so
will
it's a number
produce
times
that
2.
result.
And then you times that number by 2, and then that number by 2.
Yeah.
That fits, but that is not my rule.
That is a rule that would produce that result. What Megaleech is saying is he has a different rule that produces that result. And can we work out what the different rule is?
It's a very important thing in science that this exercise is meant to convey. That's a hint. Do you want to go again?
That's pretty cool.
Just propose any 3 numbers.
Oh, like Stella proposed the numbers 16, 32, 64.
So with Stella, that follows my rule. With Coffee and Chill, that does not follow my rule. 1, 1, 1 does not follow my rule.
1, 1, and 1 doesn't follow the rule.
That is correct.
Just trying some lateral shelf warmers thrown in. Is the rule any 3 numbers used to answer the question?
No, because 1, 1, 1 didn't follow my rule.
Yeah. Okay. How else to express that relationship between those numbers?
Yeah. It's a very important principle in science that you want to think about and utilize to get this.
Double.
What did you say?
Double.
Double.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the rule.
I said double.
Well,
okay. Numbers.
I'll bite Megaleech. What's the rule that we're not getting?
I'll give you a hint.
Of me as the child.
Yeah.
The principle this is meant to demonstrate is falsifiability and its importance. So the best way to figure out what my rule is by falsifying other rules. So say numbers that you don't think fit, and you'll quickly get to it.
Right. 2, 4, and 6.
That follows my rule.
That does follow your rule. Oh, okay. 1, 2, and 3.
That follows my rule.
One number.
Okay, the rule's just the subsequent numbers higher than the previous number.
So the next number is
just ascending numbers. Correct. That's exactly right. Normally you'd have to go 1, 7, 2 and get it out of sequence and be like, no, that does not follow my rule. So yeah, it's the idea is falsifiability and showing that your preconceived notions with the numbers 2, 4, 8, you're instinct is it's doubling, right? And so that cognitive bias sort of sets in there. And so you test that out. You go, this number, yeah, I'm getting it. They're all the right. But you've got to falsify it to find out that you're wrong and what the actual sequence is, or the rule. Yeah. So well done.
It's planting an idea in your head, but that idea is false. You don't actually lie.
That's
you don't actually lie. You just plant an idea that isn't.
It shows cognitive bias and how it can set in, and it's hard to break that. So it's just an exercise to try and get people thinking about that. So was that fun, or was that really frustrating?
Yeah, no, that's getting the old noggin to work out.
Very good.
Yeah,
I might cut that and make a little YouTube clip out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that is a really good example of, as you say, a form of cognitive bias, and particularly when you're looking at results in things, a big thing people fall for is called survivorship bias. When they try and see is how effective is a particular thing, they look at things that have succeeded and they go, that's obviously the thing that succeeds. And there could be dozens of things that they haven't taken into account that would refute that. Like an obvious one is, apparently some people think when they go, I want to go into business for myself. There are lots of cafes and restaurants. So obviously that's a business that succeeds. So I'm going to open a restaurant. Now, half of all restaurants fail in the first year they're open. And of the ones that survive the first year, half of them don't survive 5 years. It's a really fucking tough job.
Well, I think it's more than half.
Sorry?
Yeah.
What was that, Lee?
I thought it was more than half the businesses not surviving. I thought it was more than half of the businesses not surviving.
That was not a hard statistical number. I said that was just saying the overwhelming majority of all businesses fail. But people look around and they see a lot of cafes and restaurants, and apparently they fall into the trap of going, that's obviously a successful business. I'm going to open a restaurant. But they don't see the ones that fail because they're just gone.
Selection bias,
yeah. One of my favorite versions of it is the webcomic XKCD, which is just very funny generally. And they had a classic thing of survivorship bias. A person giving a motivational speech to a crowd, how to get rich because he won the lottery. Oh, looks like Megaleech has got to run off for a second. And he's saying, hey, people told me the odds were millions to 1 against me winning the lottery, but I didn't listen. I kept buying lottery tickets and I won. And he's not lying, but looking at him succeeding by buying lottery tickets is ignoring the millions upon millions upon millions of people who buy lottery tickets that don't win. So focusing on the one who did win gives you a very false idea of how to succeed.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's the same. Another anecdote, bombers in World War II, was a fucking death trip.
I know of people who've won the lottery.
Yeah. Well, someone does. People win the lottery all the time. People win the lottery. But for every one winning ticket, there are millions and millions and millions and millions of tickets that don't win. So,
but it's not a good thing. Not a good thing to win the lottery.
It does ruin some people's lives. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard of a cat in South Australia won the lottery.
Yeah.
I win the lottery every week.
Most people's lives, I've heard.
By not going in it.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's almost as sure a bet. You're not buying a ticket, your chances of winning are absolutely zero. Buying a ticket raises your chance to a barely measurable chance above zero. So
already down cost of the ticket.
You've almost got the same odds of winning lotto if you don't buy a ticket. Statistically, it's only a very tiny bit different.
And you're
The odds are only slightly
chance?
different. Sorry?
And you're paying how much for that chance?
Exactly. That's no, it's a circus game. It's absolutely a circus. Oh, yeah, Gamma, rain's back. It's raining here now too. Yes. And so for that is point, you don't get taxed on lottery winnings in Australia. And you do in the US. But you don't get taxed on prizes in Australia.
Is that the same for like game shows and stuff?
Slightly different. If you win on a game show once, that isn't taxed in Australia. But you know how they often invite people back for, champion versus champion. At that stage, that's regarded as something you're working for, and then you do pay tax on it.
Interesting.
But if you do it once, that's a prize and you don't pay tax. But if you go back on one of their champions thing, that's now regarded as you're basically working for it and you do get taxed on it. But in America, you get taxed on prize, which is like going on those shitty game shows like Wheel of Fortune. Half the time, at least, the people never claim the prize they get on that show because they have to pay tax on it. And half the time is the prize is so shitty, it's not worth paying the tax on. So they just never claim the prize, which is a neat little lurk for those shows that they only pay out about half the prizes they say they pay out. Because it's something the person doesn't want and they have to pay tax on it. So they don't accept it. Very weird, but talking about survivorship, guys, there was a thing with bombers in World War II. So many people died, Allied bombers flying over Germany. And so they tried to think, we need to strengthen the planes. And so they did an analysis of the planes that had come back, analyzed where all the bullet holes were in the planes. And it said, look, yeah, there's a definite pattern. There's more bullet holes here, here, and here. So we need to put lots more armor plating on those bits because that's where they all get shot. And then someone who was a bit shrewder and was into lateral thinking went, no, you want to put the shielding everywhere else. And they go, what? But they don't get shot. They go, no, the people who get shot in those places don't come back. These guys who've come back full of bullet holes, they came back with those bullet holes there. So you don't need extra plating on those bits because they can make it back with those holes in them. Put the armor plating in other places because people who get shot there don't come back. And they went, ooh, that's smart. Because the first impulse, put the plating where all those bullet holes, makes perfect sense. You go, yeah. Well, look, I can see where they get shot. We should put more armor plating there. Yeah.
That's the difference between what's it called? First level and second level or something like that thinking?
Yeah, it's often called lateral thinking.
Yeah.
My favorite example of, there's the guy who wrote all the books on lateral thinking. I've forgotten his name. But he made a lot of money. He got hired by some Vegas casinos to try and help them save money on carpet replacement. Because if you've ever been to Vegas, they don't like to appear cheap on anything. Like they have really nice quality toilet paper in the toilets. You know, a lot of places you go to public toilets, there's some really awful toilet paper in the toilets. They don't do that in Vegas. They never want to appear cheap. Like the food in their buffets is usually not horrible. It's usually quite good. They never want anything to feel cheap, and they don't buy cheap carpet. They buy expensive carpet. They want it to all be, but it was costing them a fortune. The foot traffic was wearing out the carpet and it was costing them a fortune. They tried a few things, like they tried those squares of carpet and they thought we could just take out the squares and then put in new squares or put those worn out squares under the poker machines or something. But then the squares never matched because they were different ages and it looked shitty and that didn't work. And they got this guy who was renowned for lateral thinking to come in, help us. How do we save money on carpet wear and tear? And they said, and it can't look cheap. whatever we do, it can't look cheap. And he goes, okay. And he spent a bit of time looking at the casinos, how it worked, how everything was, and he came back to them with a plan that worked so well. Take out every second light bulb in the ceiling, and then people can't see the carpet as clearly, so it takes a longer time till the carpet appears worn, and you save money. And they went, what? And they tried it, and it fucking worked. Like, they'd been looking at the carpet, and he said, okay, the big thing is it's bad if people see the carpet's worn. And they go, this place is really brightly lit. What if we took out half the lights? And it worked. You couldn't see the wear in the carpet as clearly. It was just a brilliant bit of lateral thinking.
Did you hear about the guy and Redhead's matchsticks and trying to save money for that company?
No, what was that one?
Oh, okay. So Redheads, you know, the famous Australian
famous match brand.
Right? You got your thing on the side that you strike your match on.
Yeah.
Right. So they were spending quite a bit of money on the package, right? The gear that you get in the box. And they were like, okay, so we need to figure out how to save money. And so they got a guy in, and he looked at the problem, and he was pretty cluey, and he figured it out pretty quick. And he said, look, I'll tell you what, instead of a fee, you can pay me a percentage of how much I save you in perpetuity, right? A small percentage, right? I can't remember the exact percentage. Someone can look it up. They can probably tell us by the end of this. And anyway, they agreed to it. And all he did was make the solid chemical strip that you strike the match on a crosshatch pattern through it.
Yeah.
And so that saved 50% of the chemicals in that. Yeah. And so they saved 50% on that, which was actually one of the most expensive components of the matches, was this striking strip. And he's raking in the money, apparently. So
yeah. There you go.
A while ago, maybe he's dead.
Again, classic lateral thinking. Yeah. Because the one thing they wouldn't want is for the striking surface to not work. But yeah, because I've actually seen it. It's either I've seen some matchboxes do the crush and some do like a checkerboard pattern. But yeah, there's only half as much
solid. If you remember them from my childhood, they used to be solid.
Yeah. Wild. You got to love it. It's I kind of pissed someone off with one. There's because I work in IT. There's apparently a classic one with that was a Microsoft interview question in the 90s. Like, you have to move Mount Fuji 500 meters to the left. How would you do it? And it was, it's a fairly nonsense question, but it was just to try and see how people think. Someone asked me that once, because I'm a business analyst. I'm not a programmer. I'm a business analyst. And they thought they were clever, and they asked me this, and I went, why are we doing it? And they went, what? I said, why are we doing it? He goes, oh, that's not important. You just have to tell me how to do it. I go, why we're doing it is always important. What is the end result we're hoping for? And this guy was stymied because he didn't come up with it, and he wasn't a very creative thinker. And as soon as I gave him a response he wasn't expecting, he was all fucked up. It was really funny. So I was just going like, I need to understand. Yeah, and this is literally the core thing of my job. When someone says they want something, I have to understand why. I have to understand what's the goal, and what will be different. But I think he's breaking up a bit there.
That was something I would ask that same question. Why are we doing it?
Yeah, it's a logical question. Programmers often don't get that. And it's like, I was saying, this is my role as a business analyst, to understand what is the actual root need here? What need are we satisfying by moving Mount Fuji? Because it's perfectly possible there's a better solution that doesn't involve moving Mount Fuji. He goes, no, you have to tell me how to move Mount Fuji. But I need to understand why. I restrained myself from saying, at the moment, the reason appears to be so you can feel clever for asking a question like that. Inside, that's what I was thinking. The reason we want to move Mount Fuji is you want to seem clever for asking the question.
Did he give you the answer?
No, it really confused him. Really confused him. I just said I need to go back to basics. I need to understand what is it we're trying to achieve. We're trying to move Mount Fuji to the left. No, that's a result. What problem are we trying to solve? Like, is it blocking the view of something? Because it's probably cheaper to move the building than to move Mount Fuji, you know? And just because he looked up, this was a question Microsoft asked, and Microsoft are really smart, and therefore he's smart if he asks it. And I just fucked him up, and I didn't get that job. But
has anyone Googled it to see whether there is an answer?
Well, there wasn't an answer as such. Like, Microsoft weren't about the answer. It was to see how people thought and how they approached problems. There was another one like, how many piano tuners are there in Chicago? And you, without looking it up online or anything, tell me how you'd find out how many piano tuners there are without the yellow pages, without Google, without anything. Tell me how many piano tuners there are in Chicago. And you basically go, if I'm being logical, what's the population? How many houses are there in Chicago? Okay. What percentage of those houses might have a piano in them? How often do pianos need to be tuned? So therefore, to be economically viable, how many piano tuners would there be? It was kind of like you try to be logical and go, the population is however many million. Well, Lee's switch devices. Lee's swap devices.
That's coming through good.
Yeah, that's coming through quite well. So the logical process was, what's the population? How many of those households are likely to own a piano? How often does a piano need to be tuned? How much would you charge to tune a piano? Therefore, how many pianos would you have to tune in a year to have a viable business? So how many viable businesses of piano tuners could be supported? And that's like the logical sequence to go through to get an approximation of how many piano tuners there would be in Chicago. So it just shows, you understand how to break a problem down and what are the components that you need to understand. There's no answer to a lot of these as such.
It's just the yellow pages on the piano tune.
Exactly. No, that's what you do. You do a Google search on piano tuners in Chicago. And they said, but without the yellow pages, without a Google search, tell me how many piano tuners there are in Chicago. What Stella said, Stella interviewed for a job at IBM. Oh, they did a team exercise. Hate team exercises. One person was supposed to be a saboteur. In the end, they asked us to identify the saboteur, and I correctly said it was no one. And then they got you on their shittiest account because you seem like a problem solver. Let's see, you're punished. You're punished for being a problem solver.
That's the opposite of failing upwards, isn't it? Yeah. It's like succeeding at the shittiest level.
Succeeding downwards.
Because they know you can handle it. You can probably solve whatever the problem is with their shittiest client.
Yep. And that's an actual real thing that happens to some people, their career stalls, because they're super, super good at handling a particularly low-level shitty thing. And they're so much better and they should be promoted into something. But the people higher up goes, oh, God, but if they don't do that job, no one will, and it'll all go to hell. So they have to stay in that job and have a shitty life. It was even in the old musical comedy, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. The young go-getter who, moves from the mail room to the executive board in a couple of weeks just by bluffing his way through things at a very early stage, because he seems like this bright young go-getter. He gets offered a promotion ahead of someone who had seniority to him. And at first blush, it's like, yeah, promotion. And then it's like someone says, yep, that's a, you know, I got moved into that job, you know, and it's been rewarding for the last 20 years. You know, I've been doing it for 20 years. And he just went, I don't want to do. And then he scores brownie points by saying to the other guy, you had seniority, you should take the promotion, because it's a promotion to a dead-end job. I think Lee is feeding the kitty we've all been able to hear. I'm not sure. That
no, I'm feeding my child. Sorry about
that. Might be my cat, actually. It's actually my daughter's cat that's staying here while she isn't allowed to have pets where she lives.
That's fair. Oh, it's 10 o'clock anyway.
Oh, wow.
So you're saying it was the help desk. Yeah, help desk is a pretty cruel job, actually. It's like, yeah, if you're good at help desk, they'll give you the shittiest people to deal with, which is a very cruel way to reward success.
Yeah. When I used to work for IINet, they gave me the crappiest people.
Yeah, yeah. If you're good at customer service, you get given really shit jobs. That's the way. I worked customer service for years. That's how it goes. Anyway, it's 10 o'clock. I'm going to go to bed.
All right. Good night, buddy.
Good night, everyone.
I'm planning tonight a bit of a formal Friday extravaganza. I haven't done a taste test comparison. I've got to do a big road test of those Australian gins I got. So I'm going to do 4 martinis with 4 different gins. It's going to be the same other ingredients. And Mrs. Angry is going to help me. She also likes gin, so she'll probably take one of them, whichever one she thinks is best. But it's going to be like your bog standard Tanqueray London dry gin, and then the 3 gins from the Little Bear distillery. They're the one I think is their standard one, and then the spicy one, and then the overproof Navy strength one. So I'm going to make martinis with each of them, and then do a blind test and see if I can tell which is which. See which one I prefer. See which one Mrs. Angry prefers. She'll probably take the one that she prefers. But it's going to be a bloody martini extra. And so I've definitely got to do the formal Friday get up for martinis. Got to do James Bond style. Although they'll be stirred, not shaken, because that's a stupid as hell line from the you don't stir martinis. Sorry, you don't shake martinis, you stir them. So they will be stirred martinis, and we'll see what a blind taste test reveals. But until then, look after yourself, one and all. Thanks for joining me, Megaleak. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Take care, one and all. I hope to see you again soon, but I'll say